So after careful consideration, we have decided that from tomorrow, to be reviewed every 3 weeks, and with exceptions that I will come on to, visiting other households will not be permitted. To be clear, this extends the restriction that has been in place across the west of Scotland for the past 3 weeks to all of Scotland. Regulations giving effect to this change will come into force on Friday, but I am asking people to comply from tomorrow. One of the reasons we have decided to do this is that our early data suggests that this restriction is starting to slow the increase of cases in the west of Scotland. So if we take the difficult decision to extend it nationwide now, in an early and preventative way, we hope it will help to bring the R number down and the virus back under control. There will be exceptions for those living alone or alone with children who form extended households, for couples in non-cohabiting relationships, for the provision of informal childcare by, for example, grandparents, and for tradespeople. But for everyone else, visiting each other's houses will for now not be permitted. These new restrictions apply to people's homes, in other words, to private indoor spaces. Rules for meeting other people in public indoor spaces that are subject to strict regulation and guidance remain the same. You can meet with one other household only and in groups of no more than 6 people. As I said earlier, we will be working with local authorities to strengthen inspection and enforcement in indoor public places, and enforcement action, including closure if necessary, will be taken against shops, pubs, restaurants or other premises that do not ensure compliance. You can also continue to meet with one other household in groups of up to 6 people outdoors, including in private gardens. Outdoors, though, we intend to exempt children under 12, both from the limit of 6 and the limit of 2 households. There will be no limits on the ability of children under 12 to play together outdoors. And young people aged 12 to 18 will be exempt from the 2 household limit. They will be able to meet together outdoors in groups of up to 6, though we will need to monitor this carefully. And let me stress, this is outdoors only. And let me say to teenagers in particular, I know how miserable this is for you, and I am so grateful for your patience. We are trying to give you as much flexibility as we can at this vitally important time of your lives. In return, please work with us and do your best to stick to the rules for everyone's sake. Presiding Officer, the last new restriction I want to cover today relates to travelling by car. It may seem minor, but it is important. We know, again from Test and Protect data, that sharing car journeys presents a significant risk of transmission. We're therefore advising against car sharing with people outside your own household. Finally, I think it's important that I indicate today, in light of the current situation, that the route map changes with an indicative date of 5th October are unlikely now to go ahead on that timescale. Presiding Officer, I also want to touch briefly today on an issue that has been the subject of media speculation in recent days, namely the possibility of a so-called circuit breaker, timed to coincide with the October school break and during which people would be given much more comprehensive advice to stay at home. The Scottish Government has not made any decision at this stage to implement such a policy. However, we are actively keeping it under review. What I would say to people now is this: please think of the October break as an opportunity to further limit social interaction, particularly indoors. And given that this is a global pandemic, please do not book travel overseas for the October break if it is not essential. Finally, I want to say a few words to people who are shielding, or were shielding rather, earlier in the year. I know you will all be feeling particularly anxious. However, the best way to keep you safe is by reducing the spread of the virus in our communities, which is what today's measures are all about. The steps I have outlined today will help keep you safe, so please follow the guidance for the general population with great care. And if you haven't signed up for our text alert service, please do so. Fundamentally, I want to assure you that your safety is uppermost in our minds. But we do not believe that asking you to return to shielding is the best way to secure it, given the impact it would have on your mental and physical health. In our view, all of us acting together, collectively, to reduce the spread of the virus is a better way to keep you safe. Presiding Officer, these are the changes we are making now. I can't and will not rule out the need to make more nationally or locally in the weeks to come. Suppressing the virus and getting R below 1 again is essential, and we will act in a way that can achieve that. Indeed, we will publish soon an overall strategic approach to escalation in areas with particularly high rates of transmission. However, I am acutely aware that the restrictions I have announced today will not be welcome. but it is our judgment that they are absolutely essential. Inevitably, some will think they go too far and others will think they don't go far enough, but we have tried to get the balance as right as possible and to act urgently and in a substantial and preventative way now to try to get the situation under control quickly. We judge that this will give us the best chance of avoiding tougher or longer-lasting measures later. But I know that doesn't make this any easier. Many people, me included, will find not being able to have family and friends in our own homes really difficult, especially as the weather gets colder. But today's measures, although tough, are not a lockdown. They are carefully targeted at key sources of transmission, and we believe they can make a significant difference while keeping our schools, public services and as many businesses as possible open. However, the success of these measures depends on all of us. The decisions that we all make as individuals in the weeks ahead will determine whether they work and how quickly they can be lifted. That fact isn't just a reminder of the responsibilities we all owe to each other. It's also a reminder that we are not powerless against this virus. None of us can guarantee that we won't get it or pass it on, but we can all make choices that significantly reduce our own risk and help keep our communities safer. So please make these choices. Stick with this. Please don't meet people in their homes or your home, because that is where the virus often spreads. Limit how often you meet up with people in public places and abide by the rules enforced there. Work from home if you can. Follow the advice on self-isolation if you have symptoms, test positive or are a contact of someone with the virus. Download the Protect Scotland app. And when you do meet other people, remember facts at all times. Face coverings, avoid crowded places, clean your hands and surfaces, keep a 2-metre distance from other households and self-isolate and book a test if you have symptoms.